Welcome everyone to today's episode of Flat Tire Dan. As always, I want to thank everyone who has found our YouTube channel, Flat Tire Dan, and has subscribed to the channel and viewed and liked and commented on our episodes. We really do appreciate everybody tuning in. Welcome back to the garage. For today's episode, Triton and I obviously aren't at Valley Forge National Historic Park. The weather hasn't been great the last few weekends, but I promise you him and I will get back out there and kind of finish up that series we're doing with a little bit of park exploration. But I did want to kind of get back to a little bit of off-road content. I had mentioned in a previous episode where we were doing some off-road stuff that I wasn't going to get into a lot of details during that episode about my machine, what I ride. But that I would do it in a future episode. And I was reminded that I had never followed up on that by a guy who's kind of in the market for a machine himself. So I thought maybe we would do that today, kind of follow up and get into a little deeper dive and do a walk around of my machine. So what I have is a 2022 Can-Am Commander XT1000R. I've had it about a year. Got it January of 2022. So Can-Am is owned by a company called BRP, who are based out of Canada. They also own Sea-Doo personal watercraft and Ski-Doo snowmobiles. Can-Am is sort of their off-road division, although they do make some on-road vehicles, some kind of trikes and things of that nature. But mostly what Can-Am creates is off-road equipment, different types of side-by-sides and ATVs and stuff like that. This is from their Commander series. Their Commander series is their sport utility or sport rec line, where it's a mixture, it's a hybrid of a utility type vehicle that can kind of work around the house and work around the job site for you, but also very recreationally capable. Where, you know, I would say maybe 80% of this machine is directed towards the recreational use, and the other 20% is for using around your property or on the job site. This is the second generation of the Commander. The first generation came out in, I think, 2011, and it was a hit. They were the first to have this idea where they would make a hybrid machine where you could use it to have fun on the weekends and for work during the week. And that machine was great, you know, and that generation lasted 10 years, but eventually it just became dated and it was time to upgrade and create a second generation, which they did in 2021. One thing they did do in 2021 is that they based this whole platform on the Can-Am Maverick series, which is primarily the recreational series. They realized that most people with a machine like the Commander are probably using it mostly for recreation, you know, and then kind of, you know, part-time or when they needed for the utility aspect of the machine. So they decided that they would focus more on the recreational capabilities of the machine this time in the second generation. They've certainly done that. This is the XT model. So basically there's 3 levels of, you know, like upgrades and accessories that, you know, standard, and then as you work your way up through the models, you get a little more options. The base model is the DS, which is a great machine, but it's pretty bare bones. This is the XT, which is sort of the middle of the road, and it comes with some standard options, a roof, a big front bumper, a standard winch, upgraded wheels and tires, some more availability and colors. I'm probably missing 1 or 2 things, but I'll certainly touch on them on the walk around. And then you have the XMR, which is the top of the line machine in the Commander series, and that has a fully adjustable gas shock system and larger wheels and tires and much more sort of off-road and mud capable. 1000R is the cubic centimeter displacement of the motor. The DS and the XT both also come with the available 700cc motor, but I chose the 1000cc motor. I kind of wanted like the most available horsepower I could get out of a naturally aspirated machine that didn't rely on turbochargers or superchargers as a power adder. The 1000 Rotax motor has been a staple in the Can-Am line, all the Can-Am lines for years now. It's a super durable, reliable, capable engine and drivetrain, and so I feel confident in that it's going to last a long time. It's going to perform the way that it's supposed to. So why don't we start taking a closer look at the machine, do a little walk around. I'll touch on some things I like, touch on some things that that were upgrades that I did, upgrades that came with the XT, and maybe a couple things that I don't like. Okay, so we'll start in the front of the machine. Like I mentioned, the XT model does come standard with this heavy-duty front bumper, brush guard, push bar assembly, which, as you can see, is good, thick tube steel that's mounted not only to the chassis but to the frame of the machine. So it's super durable and it works great. Like if you're off-roading and you're blazing some trails on your own and you got some brush to go through or whatever, it's just super useful and keeps a lot of the stuff that you ride through off the machine. It works great as a harness for this 4,500 pound winch that also comes standard on the XT model. Unless you're riding dirt bikes, if you're off-roading, I would strongly suggest some type of winch for your machine. You never know what you're going to get into. You never know what type of mud puddle that doesn't look as deep as it really is, or a hill that doesn't look as steep as it really is. And a winch is sort of a fail-safe. You can almost get out of anything with it. I mean, I never recommend you ride alone, but there's nothing to say that whoever you're riding with has a machine that's capable of pulling you out or can get in position to pull you out. And so even if this machine didn't come with a winch, I would have installed one. Now this one will pull 4,500 pounds, which is nice because the machine is only about 1,700 pounds without me in it. So it's capable of pulling way more than anything I could ever get into. I've got a light bar on the front. I added that. That's aftermarket. I just picked it up off of Amazon. Super bright, durable, waterproof. Don't do a lot of night riding, but I'll tell you, when we do and we're out on the trail, it's really dark out there, and these things are great. And the bumper came with mounts to mount a light bar in it. So that was one of the first upgrades that I made. If you walk around the side, you can see the upgraded 14-inch alloy wheels with 28-inch off-road tires. These tires are actually Can-Am's in-house tire. And they work great. They've been super capable. I haven't really come across anything that I couldn't drive through or up. I mean, I did get stuck on one hill, but that was user error. And then I used that winch that I mentioned to you to get me out of trouble there. But the tires are great, super capable, have got me through almost everything that I could have gotten into. Also, I want to point out that the radiator is positioned on the front of this machine, and Can-Am actually made the grill in front of the radiator removable so that the radiator is accessible and easy to clean. You're doing a lot of mudding in these things, and if you let your radiator get clogged up with dirt and mud and debris, then obviously it won't do the job it's supposed to do, and then you'll have overheating problems and stuff. So Can-Am thought of that and made the grill removable so you have direct access to the radiator, which I think was smart. An upgrade that I made is these fender flare wheel well extenders. I have them front, I have them rear. They are Can-Am's version. They integrated well. They were easy to install, and basically what they do is they just keep mud off of me and the machine, which is nice. The Commander has full-size, sort of regularly operational kind of truck doors on it, which is something I like as well. A lot of your side-by-side machines have half doors, basically just the top half of the door to keep you in the machine, but the bottom's open and allows a lot of water and mud into the cab, and then they open in suicide fashion. But these open traditionally like a normal truck. I really like those. They're super heavy duty. They actually have this great weather stripping around them too that does keep most of the water and debris out of the cab. I've had this machine in water where it's been halfway up the door and none's actually come in around the door. Now, I don't know if that'll last forever, but so far so good. Can-Am keeps the cockpit pretty simple. They don't really add a lot of technology. It's all available, but they keep things kind of simple. Obviously, you've got some toggle switches for your winch and your light controls over here. You've got different drive mode controls and things like that. You can see I created sort of a phone mount for my phone, which I use for GPS, and then I've got a mount for my GoPro. So you can do all types of upgrades, whether it be yourself or through Can-Am and your dealer at Can-Am. Just shifter knob, reverse, neutral drive, low gear, that kind of stuff. The seats are kind of heavy duty bolstered pleather, very comfortable. I've been out 8, 9, 10 hours on the trail on a given day, and it's been a super comfortable ride. Another upgrade that I did myself that I recommend to everybody who's going to maybe get into side-by-side riding is to upgrade your seat belts. This thing came with your normal kind of car seat belt, 3-point harness, and immediately upgraded to these 4-point off-road Simpson safety harnesses. the whole experience of off-roading is a lot more enjoyable if you're really confident in the machine and you're really confident in the safety of the machine. We did put this machine on its side once, and I can tell you that there were 2 of us in the machine, and we didn't budge. Like, we stayed safely mounted, planted in our seats with these harnesses. Now, I don't know that would be the case with a normal seat belt. So once again, something that I recommend that you do immediately if you're going to get into any type of side-by-side off-roading. Like I mentioned, it comes standard with the roof, which is nice on those kind of rainy days, or if it's super hot out, you don't want to bake in the sun. That's a nice standard option on the XT model. You come around the side here, it's got these sort of raised air intakes on both sides. This side here is for the engine air intake. The other side is for the drive belt cooling system intake. And what's nice is they keep them as high on the machine as they can, so you can drive through some deeper water and not have to worry about getting water into your air intake systems. On the rear here, you can start seeing the engine and the rear suspension on this machine, and the cargo bed. Now, according to Can-Am, they have the largest cargo bed in the industry, compared to like Polaris, who also makes a similar machine. Honda, Yamaha makes similar machines, and I can tell you I've seen them, and by far this is the largest cargo bed. And what's nice about this cargo bed is that it dumps, so it'll hold 600 pounds. And you don't have to hand load and unload it. If you want to use it for like firewood, like I do around my property, or if you're going to haul some gravel or whatever, you don't necessarily have to unload the material itself. The bed dumps. Now, I apologize for a second. It's a 2-hand operation, so I'll be right back. Ta-da! So, dump bed, super usable, great. Like I said, I use it for firewood. I'll load up at one end of the property, take it out front where I keep it stacked, and I'll dump it out front, and I don't have to unload it out of the bed of the machine, and very useful. But one thing that I really wanted to point out that really attracted me to this machine is that I enjoy doing my own kind of simple maintenance and upkeep on the machine, and with these side-by-side machines, all kinds of side-by-side machines, there's a lot to them as far as engines and transmissions and stuff, because they need to be super capable, right? And they're not that big a machine, so a lot of times it's difficult to get to the working parts, to service them and work on them yourself, and but not with this. With this dump bed, that will actually, if I remove a pin from this gas assistance shock, which helps lift it up and put it back down, it'll rotate up a full 90 degrees. The entire engine, drivetrain system, cooling system, everything that makes this machine go is super accessible. It was one of the huge selling points for me on this, is that I could get to everything and I could service it myself. Obviously, how to do that is in the owner's manual, and then, you can find anything on YouTube. So that was really a huge selling point for me, was the ability to access the engine and the drivetrain relatively easily and have some room to work on things, and then clean things as well. I can get in there with the pressure washer and really keep things clean, and then obviously things perform better when they're not all dirty and caked with mud and dirt and like the stuff that we ride through. So the bed tilts up and down relatively easily, but I'm going to go ahead and stop again for a minute to tilt the bed back down so I can get into the cargo of the machine. Okay, so bed back down, and it really does go up and down relatively easily, but it's a 2-handed operation, and unfortunately my cameraman isn't around today. But put the bed back down, it kind of gives you an idea. We can take a look at the back of the machine, and the cargo availability. So what's nice about this is it comes with a real tailgate, like a real truck tailgate that you can see. And it's super heavy duty, like it really is functional. I was really surprised about sort of how hardy the tailgate was. A lot of these machines you see, it's kind of, just something that's held on with a pin or a clip or something. But this has a real tailgate with a real tailgate handle. All right. Folds down nice. All right, so here's the cargo bed. Like I said, it'll hold 600 pounds. All right, and it's got some integrated D-rings for fastening things down that you might be hauling. This is just a job box I had that I went and just sort of, fastened down, but I can remove with relative ease. So that way, if I do need the entire cargo of the bed, and so other than around the house, like what would you need the cargo for? Well, you know, when we go riding, sometimes we'll be out all day and there's coolers and there are things like that. This machine, we can go out overnight, you know, with the light bars and stuff. And so there's camping stuff you can take with us. So it really is functional to haul cargo both on and off the trail. The tailgate itself is rated to 250 pounds. So you can comfortably sit on the tailgate when you're out on the trail and have some lunch, not have to worry about it breaking. Now, all of BRP products come with something called the Link system, which is a series of toolboxes and work boxes and cargo bags and racks. And I mean, I think there's thousands of different pieces of Link equipment that can be used on anything BRP makes, that, you know, you could use on their personal watercraft and then swap it into their off-road machines. And it's a similar clip system, and I'm not going to get into depth on it, but this whole cargo area is set up to receive that Link system equipment. I just happen to have this job box that is waterproof and pretty durable, so I went and used that. But if you really want to get into accessorizing the cargo area of these machines, the Link system is really remarkable. Can-Am does a great job with it. Kind of the back of the machine here, you can see the roof again, which is really nice. Not so much in the rain. I don't ride a lot in the rain, but on those hot sunny days, it does keep you out of the sun. So we'll go ahead and put the tailgate back up. Aftermarket, well, Can-Am bumper that I added myself, just because when I'm backing up on the trail and stuff, I don't want to back into a tree and bust up my plastics. Underneath, you can see how heavy duty the suspension is back here, not only for the 600 pounds of cargo that bed can hold, but just for the off-roading. And then it's got a 2-inch hitch receiver. It'll tow 2,000 pounds. So like a lot of times I'll use it to move my jet ski around the property or whatever. And that doesn't weigh anything, but it'll tow 2,000 pounds, which I think is super capable, more than I'll ever need. One other option I want to show you is that this side bed here, and if I walk around here, are removable. All right, pretty simply removable. And you can store things behind them that you may not necessarily need often, but are nice to have on the trail. So I'm going to go ahead and remove one. Once again, I'm going to need both hands, and then I'll kind of show you the one side at least, so you can see that, Can-Am really did give a lot of thought to the cargo and the storage of this machine. All right, so I went ahead and removed this side panel from the cargo bed, and you can see there's storage behind it. The panel comes off real easy. It's just held on by these sort of 2/4 turn pins. And on this side, it's already engineered and designed to carry an extra drive belt. So basically the transmission on these machines is a series of clutches and this drive belt that takes the power from the motor and puts it to the wheels. It's way more complicated than that, but just to keep it simple. And on rare occasion, they will break. Usually, again, it's user error. It's not the machine error if you're not using low gear when you're supposed to use low gear or whatever. But Can-Am has designed the cargo area of this thing, both on this side and the other side, to be removable and to store things you may not necessarily need all the time, but it's nice to know that you have. So the other side is actually designed to hold jumper cables, and I also have a tow strap in there. Once again, stuff I may hopefully not need out on the trail, but I know that I have it. It's out of the way. It's not under my feet. It's not in my cargo area. It's stored away safely, just in case I need it. And I think this is just a great example of the engineering that they went to put this machine together. Okay, so now that we've reinstalled that cargo area, we'll go ahead and put the tailgate back up. Again, like really heavy duty, a lot like a truck, which I'm a truck guy, so I like that. And the other side of the machine, very similar to this side. The interior, pretty much the same, although it does have this kind of cool grab handle for the passenger, and then the door handle here. So if you're a passenger in one of these machines, you got plenty of places to hold on to. Fuel capacity is about 10 gallons, which is nice with these naturally aspirated machines, is that they don't use a lot of fuel. They don't guzzle fuel like your superchargers and your turbochargers. Don't get me wrong, like I have buddies who have them and they love them. It's just not for me. But I've got a 10-gallon fuel tank, and I've ridden the bags off of this thing all day and barely scratched half a tank, which is nice. And once again, another peace of mind that I'm not going to be out. I'm not going to be worried about running out of fuel. And so that's pretty much it on the machine itself. Obviously, I'm a huge fan. So that'll do it for our walk around. Hopefully that gave you guys some insight on, you know, my machine and kind of what's available, maybe some upgrades you can make to your own machine, and then, you know, just what you might like or not like about the Commander. The other lines that Can-Am offer are great as well. I mean, I'm a Can-Am guy, I'm a Sea-Doo guy, but Polaris makes a good machine and Yamaha makes a good machine, but Can-Am has a variety of you know, completely competitive off-road monsters down to strictly utility vehicles, and their website does a great job explaining all that. So hopefully this helps out if you're in the market for a machine, or if you were just kind of curious as to what we were riding around here. As always, thanks for tuning in. We really do appreciate you guys watching, and we really are having a good time putting this stuff together. And remember, stay tuned for more content from Flat Tire Dan, and go Birds!